Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be looking into another disappearance, another unsolved disappearance. So this is Annie Ashekian, a 31-year-old paralegal from Toronto. So just a disclaimer before we start the video, all information, pictures, contents of this video was compiled using articles on the internet and is accurate as best to my knowledge. So, Annie Ashekian was a 31-year-old paralegal from Toronto. She was a very experienced traveller and mostly preferred to go solo, but recently she just returned from Brazil with her boyfriend Wendell Walsh. So Annie was home for a few days before two people that she knew through work asked if she would like to accompany them to Asia. So I have looked into this, and Annie did prefer to research her destination prior to her trips. She would take the necessary precautions as any solo female traveller would. But of course it was a very short time frame from coming back from Brazil and then heading off to Asia. So her family did say even for her this did seem very spontaneous. Annie did go with her friends. They travelled to Beijing. So in Beijing they just had some sightseeing, just did normal things, but eventually Annie did leave her two friends without saying goodbye. So they came back to their hotel room. They could tell that she had been there because she'd had a bath and her things like her passport and her bag were missing. So Annie had agreed to go with them to Beijing, but she was only going to stay with them for a few days before continuing to India for a yoga retreat. From here, Annie would fly back to Toronto from New Delhi on December 15th, and this was unfortunately a flight that she never made. So her friends, they didn't seem too worried when Annie decided to go off on her own. They knew that this was the plan anyway, and that she would eventually go back to Toronto. Something to point out, as this was a very spontaneous trip, Annie didn't actually have a visa to enter India, and the plan to do this on her way over there, so while she was in China. So according to Passport Control, Border Control, Annie did actually enter Hong Kong on November 9th, but unfortunately there's no record that she ever left. So during Hong Kong, her time there, she never really communicated with her family. There was a few text messages and a few calls. On November 10th, she sent a text message to her family to wish her young niece a happy birthday, and this was the last time her family ever heard from her. In the early hours of November 11th, 2008, Annie was at a cash machine and withdrew the equivalent of 470 Canadian dollars, which was around £270. She was captured on CCTV withdrawing the funds, and this was the last time she was ever seen. So it is just something that I would like to point out as well. Hong Kong is a very expensive city, so £270 or 470 Canadian dollars, this would not get Annie very far. There has been speculation that she was using this money to pay cash for a room she had rented at a hotel nearby. The place where people thought that she could have been staying and paying cash for was called the Chungking Mansion. So this was a hostel, not really a hotel, but a lot of people have deemed this place to be sketchy or seedy just because there's like a lot of back corners and dark places in that place. It is covered extensively by CCTV from what I can find, but Annie was never caught on CCTV in the actual hostel. So again, sketchy, seedy, these can be quite objective. There's no way to know for sure if this place was actually dangerous. Can't really find much in regards to this, but it doesn't seem like a lot of crime has occurred there. Again, Hong Kong can be deemed as relatively safe, so if we're going by Hong Kong standards, how bad actually was this place? And again, there was not a lot of actual proof that she stayed there. Following this CCTV footage, there has been a few sightings of Annie, but none of them have been positively confirmed. They cannot say for 100% certainty that this was in fact Annie. So a Hong Kong based English professor by the name of Luke Pierce, he was walking along the street in Hong Kong and was approached by a woman asking for directions. This woman seemed very frustrated and she was very angry. She was trying to find IKEA. She didn't give really much reason, they didn't have much of a conversation, but he could tell that she was very frustrated. And due to this frustration, he actually walked her one block over just so she could see IKEA and so she could just walk towards it. And after that, she said she got her bearings and she just carried on. Later, Luke saw pictures on Facebook or he saw some sort of post regarding Annie and he thought the person he spoke to was her. But again, this has never actually been confirmed. I wasn't able to find much information about the second possible sighting of Annie, so just that it was not in Hong Kong, but it was in the lead up to Christmas in a place called Wan Chai. This man had a brief conversation with Annie, enough to know that she was speaking with a Canadian accent and enough to think that it was her when he later saw the pictures. Again, not much about their conversation has been released. Following the text message on November 10th to her family, Arnie didn't make any further contact. This is when her family started to worry. So Wendell, her boyfriend, he hadn't been contacted either. The family and Wendell had a talk, realised that no one had actually been in contact with Arnie since that text message. They started to worry. They contacted authorities in Hong Kong and of course a search began. They were sceptical at first. I mean, Arnie is a grown woman, there's not much they could do, but the family flew over. I think Wendell flew over as well, and one of the sisters has flew over quite a few times, I think 3 in total, trying to find any information. So Arnie's disappearance did gain a lot of attention in Hong Kong. People have been known to walk around with her name on their hands, with their pictures, trying to find any information about her. There are a few theories regarding Arnie's disappearance, with the most popular, of course, that she voluntarily disappeared. Prior to the holiday, she had emptied her accounts and was an experienced solo traveller, so it was not exactly uncommon for her to just go and explore. She explored by herself quite a lot, but again, this doesn't really explain why she hasn't contacted her family. There was no reason why she would want to disappear this way. She was close with the family, and it was later revealed that she had a job lined up in Argentina. She was potentially moving over there and starting a new life. Wendell, her boyfriend, was also considering if he wanted to go with her. She was supposed to be moving there in January 2009. It does seem odd that if Arnie wanted to start a new life, why she would do this in China when she already had the work laid out for her in Argentina. She had been doing this for a few months now. It was a solid plan, it wasn't something spur of the moment, and of course Wendell was still deciding if he wanted to go, so it wasn't exactly something that she had decided just to do spontaneously. This was a plan. As Arnie has never actually left Hong Kong, they've checked border control. There's nothing to say she ever left the country using a passport. People have suggested that she could have left via boat to Macau on the south coast of China, and people think that maybe she just decided that she wanted to start a new life regardless of what she had set up in Argentina. The next possible theory is, of course, that she had an accident whilst in Hong Kong and just hasn't been found. So Arnie did hike, and it is possible that she went hiking and didn't tell anyone where she was going to be and potentially had an accident while she was up there. The third theory, of course, is that she met with foul play. A lot of people are focused on the Junking mansions and where she was at the time of her last known sighting, but people have been to there since. They've been passing leaflets out and nothing has ever come up. Arnie's bags have never been found. Nothing relating to her at all has ever been discovered. She just simply vanished. So there's not a lot of evidence or merit for any of these other theories. It could have just been an accident, or Arnie could have just decided that she didn't want to live the life she had anymore. Thank you for watching today's video. If you do have any information regarding Arnie's disappearance, please click the links in the description or contact the number on the missing persons leaflet. Thank you.